Welcome to the Spiritual and Empowerment Living with Tia podcast, a sacred place and resource for spiritually centered women who want to go from the mundane to the magical life, for overcoming fear and doubt, reconnecting with the goddess, understanding messages from spirit, and uncovering your spiritual gifts so you can finally live the life you deserve. Hello, Spiritual Trailblazer, and welcome back to another episode of Tia Scope. I've been enjoying doing these Tia Scopes because it's been helping me keep track of not only the phases of the moon, but also my reactions during this time. And that's the biggest takeaway I want to have for the Tia Scopes, is that really understanding our patterns as we are impacted by the full moon. And I didn't even get to the waxing and the waning phases. I'll do that in a separate episode. But it's very important to understand how these planets and zodiacs impact us, because they do, time and time again. Let's get into it. So before I dive into this episode, I always have a little bit of housekeeping to do. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the previous episodes. February, for many, is considered to be the month of love. And so we have several love episodes, such as 301 Love Goddesses. Also, we talked about a lot of the element of fire in the Goddess Bridget in bulk episode. And of course, the previous one, Lupercalia with Libby Armstrong. We tied in, or not tied in, but we discussed the festival of Lupercalia and also origins of Valentine's Day. You know how I am when it comes to origin stories. I think it's important, all that jazz. Next on the blog, so we wrapped up the chakra series. So if you haven't binge read or binge read the chakra series, go ahead and do that. Before that was the magical days of the week. So I really encourage you to check out those series. And now we're on the Protective Magic series. So make sure you go ahead to blog.tmariejohnson.com and check out those posts. We have Mirror Defense, Cast in the Circle, among other blog posts for the Protection Magic series. Now, for this episode, I also will be pulling an oracle card. It's moon-centered oracle card deck. And if you want to see what it looks like, you can go to my Instagram account. I created a reel for it. It's cosmic_witch_goddess on Instagram. Check out the reel for it. And yeah, dive into the magic there in video form. So if you're new to the Tia Scope episodes, this is something that came up because in the course of me talking with people, there was a lot of the sense or the saying of, I thought I was crazy. And I mentioned this on a show before, where it's really people not understanding their gifts. And they were also, in many ways, taught to second guess themselves. So when a thing like a full moon comes along and we're feeling a little bit out of sorts, it gets written off as, oh, we're crazy again. Oh, we're being super sensitive. We are just being too much, right? So I thought, you know what? Why not have these episodes where I just talk a little bit about what's going on based on research. I'm not an astrologer or anything like that, but really just based on research to help understand what's going on a little bit more. And then I give you the link so you can read more on what I present to you today. So here we go. Make sure you stay tuned for the oracle reading. Just to remind you, All right. We have the energy of Saturn because the full moon is taking place on a Saturday. We have, of course, the energy of the moon, Uranus, and Virgo. Now, I'm not familiar with the planet Uranus, and I'm going to explain why that's important for this episode. So, I like astrologyking.com. I've been going to astrologyking.com for the last several episodes. I just like this website the best. It explains easily what's going on. So as I was saying earlier with these telescopes, I talk about the energies behind what's going on. So I look at the day of the week it falls on, the energy of that day. Then I look at the zodiac it's in and the energy of that. And then I look at anything else that's important. So as you will see on the website, uh, Uranus plays a big part in this full moon. So I wanted to make sure that I address all that so we can understand that, understand what's going on, understand why we feel the way we do, and some things we can do during this time. Okay. And also, I realized last telescope, I forgot to mention what conjunct means. That really just means that they are next to each other, like they're just together. Um, so it's just like a astrological or an astrology way of saying next to. All right, so this is a time where it's going to be some good changes, and I know people say often, "What's the good change? Is there ever a bad change?" For some people, it could be bad if a good change for you is establishing your boundaries. That's a bad change for someone who was taking advantage of you, right? When you didn't have established boundaries. So it's a bad change for them, but a good change for you. So this is a time of great positive changes, and it's going to be easy for you to implement, which is for me pretty shocking because Saturn is the teacher planet. Okay, it's not the easiest planet to work with, right? So this is showing that you put a lot of work in. You put a lot of work in despite everything that's been going on. You put the work in. And now that change that you've been working on for so long is finally happening, to which you can easily implement whatever needs to be implemented to make this change easier, right? So think about something that's long overdue. What are some of the things that you've been wanting to work on for so long, wanting to have this work right? Well, it's coming. All right. All right. That flower is blossoming. All right. So this is a great time to free yourself from burdens, especially the ones that are no longer your responsibility. Because sometimes we take on a lot of stuff, it becomes burdensome. We want to see it to the end. In this case, you're good. There's nothing else to see to the end. All right, your role is done. There's nothing more you can do with it. Think of it as when an actor reaches all he can do with a character he plays in a movie or she plays in the movie. It's like they took it to the max. There's nothing else that can be done. And now they don't even want to play the character anymore because it's really to the point where it's what else can I do? I did everything with this. So think of it like that. Don't worry so much about having the closure you want, right? Sometimes people try to make certain things work. Um, they try to make a communication happen, an apology, please just move on. All right. That's the best thing you could do. All right. So now we're moving on to some of the things you might be feeling. All right. So, of course, during a full moon, our emotions are increased. So, this can mean for some people you have excess energy that you need to burn off, whether that's you doing more exercise, You may be cooking more, talking more. And for other people, it's a deep dive into their emotions. And now it's a time for retreat. Now's a time to you not necessarily spend time by yourself, because if you have someone who is, your rock, and you can be your vulnerable downtime, messy bun, sweatpants, no bra, mask on your face person, then do that. But this is a great time to really process your emotions. And some schools of thought regarding shadow work and the moon is that that should be done during the new moon, because it's dark and the shadow's dark. Do it when it arrives, like when you get the notion to do that. So just keep that in mind. The people who are extra hype, those who are bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're ready to go, and yeah. And then the people that are just like, I hate you, morning people. Oh my gosh, what are you? Okay. And then we lower our shades back down and we sip our latte. All right. So it's like that. All right. Process your feelings. Really take note of how far you have come. Understand the I don't want to say the balance, but understand the dynamics in your relationships. Okay. Really focus on your intuition. All right. Is there anything you need to overcome? Any blockages you need to overcome that is causing your intuition not to be at the level it can be? And this isn't saying that, if you're not at 5D, the whole 5D dimension, then you aren't trying, you aren't spiritual. No, some people are cool in the 3D realm, the three dimension. They're cool with that. That's fine. And that's okay. All right. So I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, oh man, should I be? No, no, no. This is food for thought. All right. So focus on dynamics, your intuition, process. All right. Now, I know I've been feeling like cleaning up things, getting things organized, which is a trait of the Virgo. So with that, let's talk about the energies. Okay. Because I mentioned it, but I didn't dive into it. And let's start with the Virgo. I'm a Virgo, so that made me a little happy that, oh, full moon in Virgo, let's talk. Okay, so most of us know Virgos are considered to be hard workers, loyal, analytical, kind, practical. And then some of the, I don't like to say weaknesses, I just feel like they're just different traits. Like, for example, has here shyness. Why is being shy considered weak? That's just crazy to me. Um, Worrisome, overly critical of self and others, all work and no play. And it is ruled by the element of earth, or excuse me, Mercury. The element is earth, it's an earth sign. The ruler is Mercury. I knew that. So, what I'm saying here is think about this. Think about, based on those traits I said, because sometimes, so a little backtrack here. Sometimes when we know someone's rising sign, we'll say things like, "Oh, that's Virgo men, that's Cancer women, you know, that's Scorpios for you." But we say that, some of us say that without knowing the person's astrological chart. So they could, well, first and foremost, they could just be an asshole. Okay. It has nothing to do with their zodiac sign. But A person's sun sign is only a portion of who they are. So, for just one moment, put to the side what you know Virgos to be based on the people you have met. Okay. And let's focus on these traits. And I said that for even Sagittariuses. I said Sagittariuses and Geminis tend to get a bad rep. Okay. I mentioned that in previous telescopes, that is. So with this, based on the traits I've mentioned, loyal, analytical, kind, hardworking, practical, how does that apply to the way you've been acting recently? Because I'm telling you, I've been getting super organized. I've knocked down a lot of things this weekend, but in about 4 hours, I was just in the flow. Oh, boom, it was just done. I almost couldn't believe it. I was just like, I haven't been in the flow like this in a while. With all the craziness going on in the world, right? Trying to keep my mental sanity. So think about that. What's your flow been like? What have you been diving into? What's been coming back into your life? Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I've been meaning to do that. I'm not talking about exes, unless that person can give you 5 forms of proof that they have changed. Okay. And, and maybe, I don't know. But anyway, think about that. And even on the flip side there, the shyness, have you been, instead of being more forward, you just been a little bit quieter lately? And this is for the people I was saying earlier who are more in their emotions right now as opposed to having extra energy. Okay, have you been worrying about things a little bit too much lately? Overly critical, saying that you should do more, but it's a pandemic and practically everyone hit the pandemic wall and everyone's dealing with mental issues, even more so now because no one's ever been through well, there are some people who are over 100 who been around for the first pandemic, but a majority of us have not experienced this. Okay. So cut yourself some slack. All right. I know for a fact some people have been extremely hard on themselves lately. All right. And so check that. All right. I want to really reel that in here because Virgo energy plus a full moon energy, that's impactful. All right. That's the Virgo combined with how we are feeling right now. All right. So you're not crazy. This is some of the energy that's coming in. All right. Moving on to, let's see here, Uranus. Now, I'm not familiar with this planet. Okay. I haven't worked with this planet. I don't know much about this planet. And based on some research, this planet is the planet of risk and innovation. Okay, so this is sort of the unconventional, unpredictable planet, which is interesting because we have the predictable, practical Virgo. So, what does that mean? Transitions. Okay, we've worked so hard, all right, so hard. And we can look at it as from the last full moon, the last couple of months. Okay, that's a whole nother realm we can dive into. But we've been working so hard, right? We've been worrying from time to time, things like that. Now, now we can entertain the other side of hard work, the other side of being practical, which is being unpredictable, not being practical. Okay, taking risks because we build a foundation that's strong enough that allowed us to be confident with taking a risk. For example, I've been receiving several emails lately about, oh, I would like to see if we can work together, which is interesting because in the emails these ladies have sent to me, they provided a little bit of their backstory, and I'm reading this thinking, look at all the work they've done up until this point. Okay, now they're taking a little bit of a risk by emailing me and saying, hey, I would like to possibly work with you. That means that at some point, we're going to be a little bit vulnerable with each other, right? Because I'm going to help them along this journey. And the spiritual journey is very private for a lot of people. That's one reason why I don't get too caught up in numbers. I love numbers. I love looking at statistics. I love looking at, comments and things like that. But the people who I've been communicating with over the years is so personal to them. So there's a little bit of risk of being vulnerable, right? Because I don't know how many people are seeing my social media, right? So they're privately consuming that knowledge, a little bit of entertainment, and this full moon has prompted people to reach out even more. So what are you thinking about today, the day before, the day after? What are you thinking about regarding risks, innovation, being unpredictable? It's there, it's in you. I know you feel it, even if it's just brewing, it's just starting, it's percolating, it's like, I don't know, this seems like a large thing to undertake. And I have to tell you, things that I thought was going to require a lot didn't. The things I knew were going to require a lot, they did, but the things that I thought, that I'm already thinking, oh, no, I'm probably going to have to do this, I'm probably going to have to do that. It was easy, so easy to implement, which goes back to earlier, that easy implementation. I did the work. This other part, that's going to be easy to implement. Taking that risk, once we're ready and that risk, that opportunity presents itself and we take up that offer, it's crazy how things just speed up. I mean, it takes a couple of times. We hear it, right? Someone's been in business 10 years, 15 years, sometimes 2 years, and one thing happens, but it took all of that to get to that one point. One thing happens, and then it's like lightning. It's like, you know, and things take off. All right. So that's that. And we talked about the moon many a times on the show. The moon has to do with intuition, um, feminine energy, feminine mysteries, all that jazz. And with Saturn, like I said, that's a planet that is the teacher planet. That is the tough love planet, and of course, there are more correspondences, but that's the main thing. Um, so yeah, because it takes place on a Saturday. So what I also tell people is to put this in a sentence, right? What does the teacher planet, the unpredictable planet, the practical one, and the highly intuitive one have to say? Like they all walk into a bar, what happens? All right. Because I worked so hard, Virgo, and learned my lessons where I experienced tough love, Saturn, aka also could be shadow work, I was able to dive into my intuition, the moon, where I trusted myself more, which allowed me to take up opportunities that would have been super risky, but for me, it seems natural. Like I need to implement this into my life, being a bit risky. Boom. See how all that makes sense now? So when you're feeling a certain way, especially during this time, you can go to astroking.com and look like, oh, that makes sense. I get it now. I get it. Or you can continue to listen to me. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. So this full moon would also help us to deal with self-awareness, freedom, creativity. And again, this is huge, huge, huge time for positive changes. Okay. Whew, I just had to take a deep breath on that one. I felt that. All right. So the summary here, and then I'm going to get to the oracle card reading. As Saturn is squared Uranus, and this is verbatim on Astrology King, is a sign of difficult change, an inability or lack or will to change, and the restriction of freedom. The full moon, Saturn, means an adjustment is needed in your duties or responsibilities, but the full moon trine Uranus makes positive changes more likely and easier to implement. So that's what I'm saying here. Saturn is a rough planet, tough love, but you will come out a better person. You will go in there a girl, come out a woman. You know, you go out there a boy, you come out a man after dealing with Saturn. And if you're already a grown woman, you're going to come out a stronger, okay, woman. So, but because your Uranus is there, again, it makes it a little bit easier. All right. So that's why I emphasized earlier why Uranus was important because it's so close um, with Saturn and this full moon that it has a huge impact. And it just continues on here to state that the changes are long overdue. So, again, if you're feeling like something's long overdue that needs to be settled, this is the time to do it. It also wraps up here that this is an excellent. Oh, never mind. It starts talking about the new moon. We're not going to talk about that. So yeah, this full moon, take note of opportunities that come your way. It may seem a little risky, a little bit like, oh, I don't know, can I do this? You most definitely can. All right. These changes that are coming your way are going to be easy to implement. I don't care how it looks. It may look scary, it may look rough, but I'm telling you, it looks that way because Saturn is here, but it's not tough. All right, let's get to this oracle reading. So the card I have here is Disseminating Moon, Integrated Awareness. It states transformation growth. As we move from the intensity of the full moon, we begin to feel into this new shift. We begin to feel into ourselves transformed. We begin to assimilate while the moonlight is still so bright, so illuminated. Under history and lore here, it states a time for internal cultivation. This is a phase of the waning moon is closely associated with the Celtic goddess Cerridwen. Legendary for her cauldron of wisdom, this crone goddess took an entire year to brew a potion of inspiration. Some of the oils you can use are uh, the Bermagot. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Bermago. It's probably you don't pronounce the T. Bergamot. I think you don't pronounce the T. Bermago, orange. To uplift, inspire, and empower. A mantra you can say is, I hear the voice within. I follow without hesitation. That's a big one. I follow without hesitation. Here's what I'm getting from my personal vibe message from this card. This is a time for you personally to capitalize on the very emotions that are driving you towards change, that inspiration, as one of the themes for this month, or this full moon, is the whole. Oh gosh, I just lost the word. It was on the tip of my tongue. Um, that risk and an opportunity. Gosh, wait a minute. What was that word now? Okay, I think I remember. I had to hit pause. I'm just like, wait a minute. Don't you just hate that when you're talking and then you go to say something else? You're like, wait a minute, what's the word? But anyway, for things that are long overdue, now is the time to get inspired, to hold on to that feeling and allow that to be part of the factors that are propelling you to the next level. So whether that's you doing a reflection during this time and thinking, as it was talking about or stated in the on the website, look at your relations. Now with the Virgo energy here, it's a lot of that foundational build, the earth sign, being grounded, things like that. So that foundation is there. Okay. It's there. And if you're at a point where your foundation got uprooted, right? It's like chaos, you're starting from scratch all over again. This is a great time to take up an opportunity. Even if it seems like it may not be for you, like, I don't know. Sometimes that's the best one because it's seemingly not a big deal, not for you. But I just think about the times where actors passed up on a script because they thought it was trash or they didn't get it. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's for me. And you know what? In a lot of cases, they were right because now once we see an actor play a role or a singer sing a song, we can't imagine anyone else doing it in some cases. But this is slightly different because this full moon is asking you to go back to something that you had to put on the back burner, something that's been dragging on for way too long. And we already know the answer to this. We already know what's been long overdue. We already know what changes are needed. We already know that inspiration is needed, right? But what is it? And that's what we had to look at. And that's what is the case by case basis, the per the person. Okay, for some people, their foundation is strong, they can take a little bit more risk. For others, it's my foundation is weak or I don't have one and I need to build that. That again, that's okay too. That's okay too. We can build that and even rebuilding is a risk in itself. Building is a risk in itself because to rebuild doesn't mean that you're starting necessarily at square one, but it does mean that a portion of you has to reduce some of the things that can trigger anxiety and what if this doesn't work and things like that. We have to deal with so much mental headspace, words, all that jazz being thrown at us just to get to completing a goal. And we should take note of that. And then there's the process of understanding that where you're starting from is okay. All right. That's why I like to provide different options. Those who are, they have their strong foundation, those who are rebuilding, those who have none. Okay. I'm meeting people where they're at as often as possible. So, what are some of the things we can do during this time? I talked about shadow work, reflection, but what's something that's a little bit more concrete? Okay. There are many ways we can look at this. It could be people who have super energy, people who not so much, leave me alone. People who are looking at opportunities or taking risks, like, yeah, I should be looking at that. People who are rebuilding, people looking at their relationships. Some of the more concrete things you can do right now is go through your home and start making a log, a checklist, an outline, if you will, of things you can sell, what you want to donate, maybe repurpose. And even if you don't want to write them all down, maybe you're not, super matter of factly, but I mean, it is that Virgo energy there. So I put it out there. But start looking at how you can segment parts of your home. We're starting with the home. because that's a reflection of how we're feeling. That's our environment. So, again, what can you donate or throw away? Or if it's a shirt that's been stretched, can it be repurposed to something else? I don't know. And then go to the next room in your house. Do you have something that's old that just needs to be thrown away? Start clearing, donating, selling, have that exchange, get money. And then next, work on yourself. Take a bath, a nice hot shower. Start to think about what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you like, what you don't like in your life, changes that you're going to see through. And then I want you to talk about it. Talk about it, whether you look at yourself in the mirror, you talk about it with the person who wants you to succeed no matter what. Talk about it with your coach. I want you to say what you think about or whatever you wrote out loud, because doing that helps you to process it more. You hear your voice, you start to speak with authority. It's not, oh, if I can only, I wish if I could only hit the lottery. It's, I'm calling this into my life. This is what I'm planning on. This is what I'm looking forward to. It's already done. Things like that. Okay. This is the time to be active, to get out there. I understand for some people this is a time to retreat, but figure out ways you can put yourself out there. Okay. Even if it means, like I said, clean up your home and you feel like, oh my God, I'm exposed because all my stuff is gone. That's another way of being out there, because sometimes we hold on to stuff we don't need. And then it takes up space and more space and we get comfortable. Okay, no. All right. So that's what I have for you. I hope that reading helped. The call to action there, really carve out time for you to understand this full moon. And as I said in previous episodes, you don't have to go all out and do a very detailed ritual or anything like that. You don't have to do anything at all. These are recommendations, okay, of what you can do for this time. All right. So take care. Check the link in the description, Astrology Key, for further reading. Look out for the next episode. Actually, what is the next episode? I give you a sneak peek here. Since you made it this far in the podcast, the next episode is Witchy TV Talk Part 1. All right, so that's going to be fun. All right, so we're going to talk about some witchy TV shows you need to look or maybe rewatch. All right, so I am sending you so many blessings. I'm rooting for you. Be kind to yourself. I love you. Until next time. As always, Spiritual Trailblazer, thank you for tuning in. Do make sure to stop by and visit me at tiamariejohnson.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Last but not least, be kind to yourself. I'm rooting for you, and I'm sending you so many blessings. Until next time.